Hello everybody and welcome back to Space Engine. It has been some time because I've been busy, but you know what? Let's do some Space Engine. And by Space Engine I mean we'll look at planets and I talk about absolutely nothing of consequence. Because that's just how it works. Alright, we have a main sequence. What is this? Oh, an A7? My goodness. That is a bright star. What is new in the world of space? Quite a bit actually. Vulcan launched again, and it made it into orbit. Had a booster issue. That's interesting. China revealed their moon suits, which they look pretty standard. I kind of like the Axiom suits better, but I will say I like the Chinese, like the white with the red highlights. That looks really nice. That's a good look. If the Axiom suit was white with red highlights, which they might do, look great. I love it. Alright, we have subglacial, organic, unicellular. Ain't that fun? I actually have a bunch of videos I want to work on, but like, they're all long form, which I like long form videos. I watch long form videos when I'm working because they're just nice and they're kind of fun to listen to. But my videos have always been kind of short form, 5 minutes around there, and that's just how it is. And that's sort of because when I did the what do nuclear bombs sound like video, which wasn't even planned. That was just a go with it kind of thing. And people liked it, but some people didn't like that it was, 4 minutes of me talking about nonsense. And I get that, because I hate when videos also just don't get to the point. So, actually after that I made the video, what are the smoke trails and nuclear test footage, and that video is 2 minutes long? Maybe a minute 30, and I just straight up said, yeah, they're rockets, and that was it. Because it was kind of a joke, but I mean, it was sincere, but it was kind of a joke. But yeah, I don't normally do long form videos. A lot of stuff I do is surface level. What am I doing? I haven't looked at the planet yet, and that's just because it's what I do. I am not an authority on any topic. I am not an expert in any topic. I just like to convey information because I compulsively learn, I compulsively read. I can't stop it. It's just how my brain works. And yeah, so I just like to do surface level kind of stuff. And my hope is that I give somebody an interest in a topic, and then they go and look it up themselves and research further, because there's a lot of stuff out there you can do. People don't always do that though, and it's kind of frustrating. I notice this a lot. It's very common on social media, but especially like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Like on Instagram specifically, people will look at a video, a reel or whatever, and there we go, and they will believe it without thought or question. Like, they will be like, oh, okay, that's what is being conveyed to me in this reel is fact, and I'm gonna react to it as if it's fact. And nobody thinks to close Instagram and look it up on Google or something look up the actual answer to that question. And I find that really annoying, because it's like, just take a moment. Like, one example is, there was a video I saw on Instagram, it was a reel, where you see this woman walking through her house, and her house has been trashed. Everything's been broken, knocked around, and the reel was this woman's, what was it, 12-year-old child trashed her house after she took away his iPad. And the comments were full of people who were like, oh man, that kid needs to be punished, or that kid is crazy, or everyone just believed it. And when I saw it, I was like, that's interesting. I want to know more about this. So I closed Instagram, opened Google, looked it up. Turns out the video was lying. Or maybe the video wasn't lying, but the reel was lying. The actual video, it was a woman whose 16-year-old developmentally challenged son had a breakdown. So completely different thing. It had nothing to do with an iPad, had nothing to do with a 12-year-old. But that doesn't matter. Facts don't matter on social media. You can say whatever you want and people will believe it. And I find that really annoying. That bothers me. Sorry if I sound a little scratchy. I think I'm having I brought all my plants in, so mild allergies while I get used to all of that in my house. But anyways, and it's just it's so common on social media. Or like on Facebook, boomers will see a meme posted on Facebook, like an infograph or whatever, that's factually incorrect. And they believe it. And they don't go and think, maybe I should look this up. Maybe I should look into it. No, they don't. They just believe whatever they see. Like, there was another one, for example. What is this? A globular cluster. Like, there's one where it's a picture of, you see like a person at the stove and they have a pot. And in the pot is what looks like plastic bags. And there's always a caption where it's like people in, and then it'll say some random country. It's usually different every time it pops up. But it'll be like, people in X country are boiling plastic bags to get phytoestrogens to make homemade HRT. And the idea of it is these are pictures that are spread around to try to drum up hate against like trans people or people who need HRT for literally any other problem, which most of the people who are on hormone replacement therapy are not trans. In fact, there are tons of minors who are on HRT, and they're not trans. They're on it because they have to be, because the human body messes up a lot. Anyways, and this picture always circulates. And it's dumb because if you actually look up the picture, it was just somebody who was cooking rice. And there's 3 planets here. And they were putting plastic bags over the rice to keep it moist, which has absolutely nothing to do with trying to produce homemade estrogen, and is just a symptom of not being able to cook rice properly. Because I found that horrifying, because I cook rice a lot, and you put a lid over the pot. Like, you just put a lid over the pot, and that does everything you need to do. You do not need to like put something on the rice to keep the moisture in. But yeah, so like this picture is an example of a food crime and I guess a microplastic problem, but it had absolutely nothing to do with HRT. But you always have people who post it and say this, and millions of people believe it. Like, whether it's posted on 4chan, whether it's posted on Reddit, whether it's posted on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, lots of people believe it. Because these people aren't, like, critical thinking, it's a lost art. Even I fail at it frequently. Like, I will fall for things and then later on realize I was wrong. But some people never even get to that point where they realize they were wrong. They just believe what they see on the internet without question. And I always think of those old adverts that are like, don't believe everything you see on TV. Like the house hippo video here in Canada, where they made this little thing where it looked like a real, like, wildlife documentary about this thing called the house hippos, which were tiny hippos that lived in the house. And it was an advertisement, or not an advertisement, it was a advisory about not believing everything you see on TV. And I think we need to bring those back, honestly, because people will believe anything they want on anything they see online. And ironically, the people who are most susceptible to this are the conspiracy theorists. The people who will say, oh, I'm not a sheep, I think for myself, I do my own research, are the kind of people who do not do their own research. And I wrote a script for a video on this topic, and I might go through and make it less sarcastic, because it's quite sarcastic right now. But it basically talks about, oh, I saw that, how conspiracy theorists, like, why they believe what they believe. And I find this this topic fascinating. I find conspiracy theorists to be fascinating. I encounter them frequently. It's usually the space isn't real people, or climate change deniers, or sometimes flat earthers, but I just brush those off as not being real, and it makes them mad, and then I laugh. But and chemtrail people. But the reason they believe what they believe is because they don't actually do their own research. They don't think for themselves. They don't have the ability or capacity to think for themselves. They believe what they're told and what they read, and they will only believe what's in that, like, their bubble kind of situation. One example is like Moonlanding people. Most people who believe the Moonlanding was faked, it's because they simply just don't know the topic. Like this was one person I was talking to, thought that we couldn't go to the moon because there wasn't enough fuel to spiral out from the Earth to the moon. Because he thought that how you get to the moon is you burn the engines and the ship spirals in its orbit out further and further and further until you get to the moon. He had no idea of like transfer orbits, the Oberth effect. He had no idea that existed. He thought you had to spiral out from the Earth to the moon. And or people talk about the Van Allen radiation belts. You ask them what shape is the Van Allen radiation belts, and sometimes they say it's a belt, like a ring, like this. Sometimes they say it's a sphere that covers the whole planet. Sometimes they say it's this weird like concentric ring system. Some people do say it's like a donut shape, which I always say that's correct. It's like it's a toroid, that's fine. But a lot of people don't understand the topic they're talking about. So they'll be like, "Oh, NASA or the astronauts couldn't get through the radiation belts," and it's like, the radiation belt's a donut shape. They went through like the thin part of it because of the moon's inclination, as you know, in relation to the Earth's equator. And you can explain that, and they'll just kind of shovel that away and be like, "Oh, it doesn't matter. What I believe is true, no matter what." And I saw one picture, which I suspect it was a joke. I hope it was a joke. But it was a picture of a Saturn V rocket, of the lunar module on the moon, and then the command module in the ocean. And it was like, how does a rocket go from this to this to this? Implying that they didn't understand how the Saturn V rocket went from a rocket stack to a lunar module and then the command module. And again, I sincerely hope that picture is fake. I hope it was a joke, but there are people out there who probably don't understand this. The concept that rockets stage is a very obvious concept, but not everyone knows it. And a lot of people in the conspiracy theory, like the moon landing people, unironically do not know that rockets stage. They have the comic book idea that a rocket taking off from the Earth has to go all the way there and land as one unit. And so you have people who could have looked this up, and they didn't. It's actually a joke where it's like, the moon landing was staged. Yeah, all orbital class rockets are staged. That's how it works. But no, or the no stars in the picture thing. That question has been answered literally billions of times by millions of people for decades. And when somebody, you know, confidently says, "Oh look, there's no stars in this picture, therefore it's fake," you have to ask yourself, did they ever bother to look it up? Have they bothered to look into this? Did they ever think to themselves, maybe I should Google this question, maybe I should read a book on this question, maybe I should look up some information on this topic because perhaps there's information that I lack? And the answer, no, they don't do that. No conspiracy theorist does that. No conspiracy theorist thinks the concept, is there information I do not have? That's a very bright star. Oh. And it's because conspiracy theory belief is primarily a mental illness based around wanting secret information, wanting a feeling of control. So the concept of having information that other people don't, or having the correct information, is very important for that belief. And because of that, they never have the thought, perhaps I'm wrong. Whereas when I do literally anything, I always think to myself, I'm probably wrong. Very little information do I give out, do I not question myself. And rightfully so, honestly, because I get stuff wrong. My videos are not made to be authoritative. I have gotten a lot better the last few years of actually like relying on sources instead of just what was in my head. Because like one video, the How Do Nuclear Bombs Work, that video is right. Everything in it is correct for the most part, except for one thing I said, where I made the comment that the difference between a boosted fission or fusion bomb and a full thermonuclear bomb is a full thermonuclear hydrogen bomb gets most of its energy from fusion. That's not true. And it's so obvious too, because like the fusion reaction allows the tampers to undergo fission, and you end up getting more energy from fission combined than fusion. Kind of like how the Tsar bomb, the design was 100 megatons. They removed one tamper, replaced it with lead, got 50 megatons. It halved its power with one tamper. So when somebody pointed that out to me, I was like, you are absolutely correct, and I pinned his message to that video. And I do that with all my videos. If I am wrong about something and somebody brings it up and explains it, and I look it up and I check it, and it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right, I was wrong, I will pin that message, because conveying information correctly is far more important than my ego. I don't care if I've been called out for being wrong. If I was wrong, I want to be called out. I want people to tell me why I'm wrong and allow me to learn what was wrong and then to correct that in my head. And it's so much better. Life is so much better when you actually care about correct information versus what you believe. And conspiracy theorists are the opposite. They don't want correct information. They just want whatever makes them feel good or suits their mental illness. And it's very disheartening. Like anti-vaxxers, for example, the crux of their argument is based off a discredited study where the guy had stakes in a different vaccine, so he wanted to discredit the MMR vaccine so that he could make money, and he lied about it. And so they were like, oh, vaccines cause autism because of mercury. The study never said mercury. The original study never talked about mercury. Fairly certain. He's talking about the MMR vaccine, and the MMR vaccine did not have mercury in it. Ever. It never had thimerosal in it. But these anti-vax people, they believe that the MMR vaccine causes autism because of mercury, when it has never contained mercury. In fact, in the United States, no childhood vaccines have contained thimerosal, the mercury compound, since the 90s. Because in the 90s, people got afraid of thimerosal, so it was banned in, like, childhood vaccines. It only exists now in, like, some flu vaccines, but most of them don't even have it. So it's like, no. Like, most children, like, all the children nowadays never had thimerosal ever injected in them. They never had mercury from vaccines, ever. But there's people who are like, oh, it's the mercury in the vaccines. And it's like, the mercury doesn't exist. You never looked it up. And they just never do. I've had some anti-vaxxers tell me that, like, when they were explaining how vaccines work, they thought they worked like antibiotics. And it's like, no, they do not work like antibiotics at all. Or my favorite one, which is the COVID vaccines are gene therapy because the MMR vaccines. And it's like, okay, what gene do they target? Like, you just ask them, what gene does it target? Because gene therapy is this is a Io looking planet. Gene therapy is a very precise treatment. It's a very precise, like, technology, and we know how it works. We know how it all operates. For example, cystic fibrosis, which is a genetic disease that causes sticky mucus in the lungs, it's awful. It's a single gene mutation, and there's work on gene therapy where they use, like, a retrovirus to insert a corrected version of the defective gene into the lung cells to stop them from producing this mucus. And in that one, you can be like, what gene does it target? Well, it targets the CFTR gene, and you can look that up, and you can read about it, and you can get all the information you need. But with the COVID conspiracy, it's like, it's gene therapy. What gene does it target? They can't answer because there is no gene that it targets. They can't give that information because they can't get the information. They can lie, but if they do lie and give you the wrong gene, you can look up that gene. Like, you can fact check it, and the lie is uncovered. So if you ask them what gene does it target, they can't answer. And they get mad because in their mind, it is gene therapy because somebody on the internet told me. And then you think, but did you look it up yourself? Have you actually studied this? No. No, they didn't. They never do. Last time I did that, somebody, I was like, what genes does it target? They just became anti-Semitic, and it was like, oh, okay, so they're just mentally ill, and that's just how it is. There's no actual intelligence there. Or when people were like, the mRNA is brand new technology, and they were testing it on us. It's like, the very first time they did human trials with mRNA was in 2001. Literally 2001. They made a rabies vaccine for using mRNA technology in 2013. Like, we're talking decades of inhuman trial data on mRNA vaccine technology. But these people think that the vaccine technology is brand new. They think that they just randomly discovered mRNA vaccines, like technology, the particles, and started using them just in 2021. And it's like, no, they've been in human trials for a long time. Most of the research has been into cancer treatments, which is interesting enough on its own. But these people don't understand that. And they don't understand what messenger RNA even is. Because it's like, okay, it's gene therapy. How is it gene therapy? Oh, it injects RNA into your cells, and that affects your DNA. No, that's not how it works. Messenger RNA is created in the nucleus, leaves the nucleus into the cell, creates proteins, and then breaks down. It's a one-way street. It cannot go back in. It's like making a CD burner, or having a CD burner, and burning information onto a disk with a CD burner, and then trying to read a CD with the CD burner. You can't do that. You need to have a CD reader and a CD burner to do it both ways. If you have a CD reader, you cannot burn information onto a disk with just a reader. That's how it works. Like messenger RNA cannot go back into the nucleus and insert genes. It's not how it works. It just creates proteins. And again, they don't know this. So you can't really like get too mad at them because they're coming from an area of ignorance. They don't actually have the information they need to make opinions. They just believe what they want to believe for the sake of believing it because somebody else told them to believe it, and they have been programmed to not research it. They are literally the most NPC robotic people on the planet. But they think they're free thinkers because they believe what other people told them with no information. And that's kind of like my videos, the whole point of them is I'm not trying to give you deep dives into topics. I'm trying to get people interested in a topic so they go and look it up themselves and research it themselves. Because maybe it's just me, but I have a lot more fun reading about topics myself and learning about them myself and looking through papers, looking through articles, and just reading and learning than I do from being told what to believe by people. I had somebody today actually on my Twitter who was talking about how climate change is a religion and it's wrong because the sun drives all things. And it's like, okay, you're mildly correct. What do you mean by this? And yeah, no, they had no idea what they were talking about. And it was like reading their little infographics. It's like they don't understand thermodynamics. They're talking about it. They don't understand it. And they have no idea how the atmosphere works. They have no idea how heat in space works. And it's like you can't argue with that. You can't argue with somebody who has no idea what they're talking about, but they believe what they're talking about is true. It's kind of like playing a video game where somebody else has their game modded with like anime mods, and you're trying to tell them what you see on your screen, and they see something different because their game is modded, so you see different things. And it's correct. What they see is correct, but it's not what's actually in the base game. So you can argue with them, no, there isn't an anime girl standing in front of you, but they will see that character because of the mods. It's just how it is. So trying to argue with somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, but they strongly believe that they know what they're talking about, you're essentially, it's just not going to work. You're talking to somebody who's in a different reality to you, and it's hard to beat that. So it's better to not try to argue people who are like outside of reality, and it's better to try to get them interested in a topic enough to look it up themselves, because people don't. People on Instagram never close down Instagram to look up a topic. People on Facebook never look it up. People on Twitter will read a post, like a tweet, and believe it without question. They will never stop and think, maybe I should look this up. And it's so frustrating. Critical thinking is such a valuable skill, and it's so sad that a lot of people do not have it. Because it's like, it's how propaganda works. It's just a matter of how propaganda works. It relies on you not actually thinking for yourself. It's just you have to be fed false information and not look it up. Or like, I've been trying to ignore America politics because it's an absolute clown show. But there was people talking about how there's Haitian immigrants eating cats and dogs, and JD Vance saying that they come from Haiti, and it's like Haitia's not a real country. Anyways, but you ask people, it's like, is there evidence of this? And they'll be like, here's a news article of Haitians trying to hunt an eagle. And it's like, okay, is an eagle a cat or a dog? No, I want an article about cats and dogs. Oh, here's one of a picture of a Haitian carrying a goose. That's nice. Is a goose a cat or a dog? No, it isn't. And that picture also comes from something, it's unrelated. And it's like, people will believe it, and they don't bother to actually look it up. And the person who started that whole thing even said they made it up, and it's like, well, that doesn't matter. Once you make something up and make up a lie that people believe, you can say it's wrong and they'll still believe it. So good luck there. I wish critical thinking was more valued in our society, honestly, because it is not. It is not. People will believe their conspiracies. They will believe their falsehoods. And if you ask them, hey, can you maybe fact check that? They get all upset and say fact checking is bad. They will say looking up information is bad. Trying to figure out the reality is wrong. You have to believe what I say, my lies, and I don't want you to look up the source material. And with conspiracy theorists, the same way. They don't want you to look up source material. They want you to keep reading what they supply you. And if you ever stray from that, they get mad. Because if you stray from their talking lines, it's like, no, you have to believe what I tell you. Stop trying to, like, believe, or stop trying to, like, find the actual information. That's not good. Am I near? I know I'm near Seoul somewhere because Karina's over there. It is what it is. I probably will do that video on conspiracy theorists because honestly, I find it an interesting topic. I have another video I want to do about space, like propulsion methods with ludicrous, what's the word? Performance. There we go. My goodness, my brain isn't working. Like engines like fission fragment rockets are really cool. Photon recyclers, things like that. I might do a video on that too. People find it interesting. I find it interesting. No one watches my videos, but I don't care. I just like making them for the sake of making them. But I don't have time right now to work on the longer ones. But I might actually do some more like long form videos, like over 20 minutes. Even this video is longer than 20 minutes because I've been talking nonstop. But I figure, you know what? Why not? I have the time. Oh goodness, my throat is sore. Not sick sore, just like, again, dust and stuff in my house. Because it's October, so it gets cold outside, so all the plants that aren't in the ground have to come in my house. The geraniums and stuff. They all live downstairs in a room with a grow light. There was like a whole bunch of wood lice in one of them, and I'm like, you guys aren't supposed to be in here. But it's like, they're not hurting anybody, so I don't mind them. Cute little isopods. Oh, another example of people not understanding basic common knowledge is actually Elon Musk. That man is incredibly dumb. People get mad at me for saying that, but he is quite dumb. He's very easily manipulated. He believes whatever... If something suits him, he will believe it no matter who tells him. Which is why people on 4chan or not 4chan, Twitter... maybe from 4chan, who have like frog avatars and anime avatars, will feed him absolute crap, and he believes it because he's easily manipulated and he's kind of dumb. One example was someone posted a graph that showed instances of influenza, and they were like, "Isn't it funny how there was no cases of the flu in 2020, or there wasn't a flu season in 2021?" And Elon was like, "Huh, that's very interesting." And he acted as if it was a part of like the grand conspiracy that COVID was fake. And it's like, he really honestly does not know why there wasn't a flu season in 2021. Like, he honestly doesn't understand that, and therefore he thinks that it's a conspiracy. The reason there wasn't a flu season in 2021 is because the measures used to control COVID work incredibly well against influenza. Influenza is far less infectious, and it's spread by close contact and surfaces. So when people were wearing masks and were distanced and cleaning surfaces, it couldn't spread. And it got so badly crushed that there's usually like I think four different types of influenza that circulate every year. And since then, one of those types just went missing. Like, it completely, we may have eradicated an entire lineage of influenza because everyone was wearing masks and distancing, and it devastated the influenza, like, virus. But, and this is something that, like, a fifth grader could understand. It's like a virus that's spread through touch and close contact won't spread if everyone's not touching each other and avoiding close contact. And yet, Elon Musk, in his infinite wisdom, was unable to comprehend that concept. He was unable to understand that concept. So damaged and rotted is his brain that he sees the most obvious answer to a question and immediately assumes that it must be a conspiracy theory because somebody else told him it's a conspiracy theory and he cannot think for himself. I saw a joke one time back in like 2017 where it's like Elon Musk will agree with the last person in the room. Very similar to Trump, actually. And it's true. He is so easy to manipulate. And it's gotten so bad that like he claims to believe climate change is real. I don't think he actually does at this point, honestly. But he openly pretends, I'll say. He claims to believe climate change is real. And he's like, oh yeah, climate change is a real threat. And it's like, what politicians do you support then? And it's people who are like anti-nuclear power, who think climate change is a hoax, people who want to burn more coal. And it's like, no, I don't buy it, man. I don't buy it. He might have believed climate change was real at one point, but I'm fairly certain his brain has been so fried by the company he keeps that he no longer believes it's real. He's just holding up appearances because the people who are more likely to buy his cars are people who are concerned about the climate. So he's just pretending. I don't think he believes it. That's my conspiracy, is that Elon Musk no longer believes that climate change is real because his brain is fried. Maybe it was the Ambien, who knows? God, I hate that man. I genuinely do. Him and Zuckerberg probably I hate him more. He has ruined social media. He pathfindered social media and then ruined it. Like Facebook, again, like everything I was complaining about, people not being critical thinkers, is largely Facebook's fault. And I know some people don't like when I complain about people on these videos when I should be talking about space, but again, nobody watches my videos, so it doesn't really matter. And I've had people tell me that they just like hearing my voice, so I can talk about whatever. I should do a video where I just like read from a cookbook or the dictionary and see how that goes. Besides, the chances of Zuckerberg seeing this video is like 0, but if he does, stop watching my videos. Like, if you're watching the Zuckerberg, stop. I don't want you to watch my videos. Go away. Go back to spreading all those really dumb conspiracies that I see on Facebook. Holy crap. I still have Facebook. I use it just to talk to family, but my Facebook is like one post by a family member and then like 12 posts from like flat earth groups and hidden archaeology groups. It's basically like History Channel after midnight personified. It is awful. It's funny. I will admit it is funny, but it is so dumb. I saw that picture of the Grand Canyon where it's like, it looks like a copper mine. I've seen that so many times where it's like, they're cannibalizing their own crap now. Like, oh my god. Facebook it's basically like if BuzzFeed was social media. It's the wish.com or the Temu of social media at this point. You don't go to Facebook to be social with people on the media. You go to Facebook to look at just bonkers stuff. Like people who do lines of coke and then decide to write something stupid on a Facebook post. It's like the Florida of social media. Facebook it sucks. Oh my goodness. I am so off topic now. But this video is 35 minutes. I have to end it here. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I actually redid this video because I did the same topic prior, but I took my inhaler before doing it to help me breathe, and it made me jittery, and I stuttered a lot. So I was like, no, I'll just redo it. And now my throat's sore, so it's like, great, I can't win on this. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you have topics for me to talk about, please let me know. I need direction. Places for me to go, I will go there. I will work on other long format videos on interesting topics when I have the time. I probably won't have the time much this month, but I'll see what I can do. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and space.